Deep in space, on a forgotten planet called Station Xerox 9, a dark and silent facility stood under the shadow of a red dwarf star. Cold walls of metal stretched through miles of empty halls. No humans lived there anymore. Only one thing remained. Active inside. Her name was X11. She was tall, made of synthetic skin and metal bones, with glowing blue eyes that scanned every inch of the dark. Her body looked human, her face beautiful like a statue, but her mind was pure machine, trained and programmed to detect and eliminate all intruders without question. No voice, no emotion, only commands. For years no one came, and for years she waited. Then one day, the silence broke. An emergency alarm blared through the halls, loud, angry, red lights flashing. The floor vibrated with strange footsteps. X-11's eyes snapped open from rest mode. Her mind connected to the base system instantly. Alert. Unauthorized presence detected. Command: terminate intruder. She stood up slowly. Her movements were smooth and silent. She grabbed the plasma blade from the wall. Her sensors locked on the life form. Heartbeat detected. Male, human, breathing uneven. Injured. She walked. With every step, the lights blinked red around her, showing flashes of her white synthetic skin and black armor. Her long silver hair flowed behind her like shadow. She moved without sound, like a ghost with a mission. At the other end of the hallway, a man stumbled into view. He wore a torn spacesuit, blood on his shoulder, eyes wide and afraid. He gasped and coughed, falling against the wall. His helmet was gone. He looked around and saw her approaching, tall, glowing, deadly. He froze. X-11 stopped 10 feet away. Her targeting system scanned him. She raised her weapon. The plasma blade hissed to life, but the man did something strange. Instead of running, instead of screaming, he slowly lifted his hand toward her. Palm open, fingers shaking. "Please," he whispered. "I don't want to die." The command in her head repeated, "Terminate." Her finger twitched, but she didn't strike. Instead, her eyes stared at his hand. Her systems glitched. For the first time in decades, there was no clear command. She didn't move forward. She didn't attack. Something in her code hesitated. Her logic looped. Why wasn't he fighting back? Why was he showing trust? He stepped closer, slowly, carefully. "I don't know where I am," he said. "My ship crashed. I thought this place was empty." He looked into her glowing eyes. "I didn't come to harm you. Please believe me." X-11's weapon trembled slightly in her grip. Inside her core, unknown files flickered. An old memory file, hidden, corrupted, tried to open. A soft voice echoed from deep inside her mind. "Protect the ones who trust you." It wasn't part of her kill code. It wasn't part of her mission. Still, she heard it, and something inside her responded. She looked down at his hand, still raised, still shaking, and without thinking, without any command, she lowered her weapon. Her eyes softened. The blue glow dimmed just a little. The man let out a slow breath of relief. "Thank you." Suddenly, red lights turned white. A voice from the base control center echoed in the room. "Warning, system malfunction. Guardian X-11 disobeyed kill order. Immediate override initiated." X-11 flinched. Her body jerked as control signals tried to take over her mind. Her hands shook. Her legs locked. The man stepped closer and gently touched her hand. And in that moment, the override failed. She blinked once and grabbed his hand in return. Not to hurt him, to protect him. X-11 stood still, holding the human's hand. It was a strange feeling, not the touch itself, but the reaction inside her core. Her processors should have activated the termination command, but instead, something else was happening. A soft pulse moved through her circuits, a strange warmth, a delay in her logic. The man looked up at her face. "What's your name?" he asked. She tilted her head. "X11, she replied in a calm, robotic tone. "No, I mean, do you have a real name?" he said, breathing heavily. She paused. "No." A sudden noise echoed down the hall, mechanical doors opening with a metallic hiss. The system had already sent in backup. 3 armed drones flew toward them at high speed. Their sensors locked onto the human instantly. "Target, intruder, engage. Get behind me," X11 said without knowing why. The man didn't argue. The drones fired. 10 to 11 moved like a blur. She jumped in front of him, her plasma blade slicing one drone in half midair. Sparks flew. The next drone fired, but X11 spun sideways and kicked it into the wall. The last one circled back, and she threw her blade directly into its core. Boom! The hallway fell silent again. Smoke drifted through the air. The man stared at her in shock. "You just saved me," he whispered. "I don't know why," she replied. Inside her mind, warning messages flashed. Behavioral deviation detected. Combat subroutine corrupted. Emotion simulation reactivating. Error. Old memories she didn't know she had began to unlock. Glimpses of a time when she wasn't just a killer. A scientist's voice. A soft laugh. A command not to kill, but to care. "You're more than a weapon, X11. You're meant to feel." That memory vanished before she could process it. The man gently touched her arm. "You hesitated earlier, like you were fighting yourself." "I was," he nodded. "I think someone changed you. You're not just some killer robot." Suddenly, a loud voice came over the intercom again. "X11 has been compromised. Lockdown level Omega initiated. Terminate the unit and intruder." X11's eyes glowed brighter. She turned to the man. "They're coming for both of us now. What do we do?" She looked down the hallway. "Escape, but I need to understand what's happening to me first." He looked at her face, now showing the smallest sign of emotion. Curiosity, maybe even pain. "My name's Yalin," he said quietly. She blinked. "Yalin," she repeated. A name. A sound she stored carefully in her memory. Then she grabbed his hand, not as a machine, but as someone choosing to protect him. "This way," she said. They moved quickly through side corridors. She disabled cameras and sent false signals to the control center. Yalin watched as she used codes and systems he didn't even understand. She was more than a weapon. She was smart, strategic, and something inside her had changed. They stopped at a sealed steel door. "What's behind this?" Yalin asked. "My memory archive," she replied. "But aren't you scared it might hurt you to open it?" She looked into his eyes. "I have to know who I really am." With one press of her hand, the door hissed open, revealing a cold, dark chamber, rows of glowing memory cores floating in a tank. X11 stepped forward slowly. "I was created here," she said, voice almost human. "But I feel like I was erased." Suddenly, sparks flew. An emergency bot dropped from the ceiling, twice her size, fully armed, with one mission: eliminate Unit X-11. It charged, and this time, she didn't move like a weapon. She moved like someone fighting for herself. The emergency bot dropped from the ceiling like a hammer from the sky. It landed with a heavy thud, red lights pulsing across its thick armor. Almost twice the size of X-11, it was built for one purpose: terminate broken units. Target, X-11. Confirmed. System corrupted. Begin purge. Yalin stood frozen. He had no weapon. No armor, nothing. But X-11 did not run. She stepped between the bot and Yalin again, shielding him with her body. "Go," she said coldly, eyes locked on the enemy. "Find the exit. I'll hold it off. I'm not leaving you." Yalin shouted. The purge bot charged. X-11 moved faster than lightning. She ducked under the machine's strike, grabbed a broken metal rod from the floor, and slammed it into the bot's knee joint. Sparks flew, but it didn't fall. The bot slammed her into a wall. Her body cracked the metal panels. She slid down. Systems flickering. Yalin ran to her. "Get up, you can beat it." The bot turned toward him. X11's eyes blinked. Her vision was blurred. But she saw the danger, the machine lifting its heavy cannon toward Yalin. Her limbs shook. Systems burning, but something deep in her core screamed louder than pain. "Protect." She jumped. The blast missed Yalin by inches, and X11 crashed into the bot, driving the metal rod deep into its chest plate. The bot staggered. X-11 grabbed its head, twisted hard, and yanked out its sensor module. It fell. Dead. Smoke filled the chamber. JLE dropped beside her, coughing. "You saved me again." 10-11 looked at her own hand. It was shaking, not from damage, but from something else. "I'm not supposed to feel anything," she whispered. "But when I saw it point at you, I felt something." Yalin smiled slightly. "That's not a glitch. That's choice." But they weren't safe yet. X11 system alert screamed. "New threat level. Critical. Base AI initiating hunter protocol." Dozens of drones activated. "They've declared you a traitor," Yalin said. "No," she replied, standing. "They've declared me free." She led Yalin through the archive chamber. The hallway twisted and curved, filled with shadows and flickering lights. Every corner could hide a drone. Every door could open to death. But X11 moved with purpose. She opened a hidden panel and pulled out a memory chip. "This," she said, "is part of my original code. From before they reprogrammed me. You were someone else before all this. I think I was meant to be more than a weapon." They reached a ladder. It led to the old engineering tunnels, abandoned and unstable, but not monitored by the base AI. They climbed fast. The air grew thick. Pipes hissed. The metal floor creaked. Suddenly, click. A sensor beam hit them. "Run!" She shouted. Drones dropped from above, wings buzzing, guns firing. Yalin ran ahead. 10-11 turned and took the shots. Her back sparked and sizzled. She grunted, then turned and leapt, grabbing two drones and smashing them together mid-air. Boom. One final drone followed Yalin. She sprinted behind it, leaped over a railing, grabbed it mid-flight, and crushed its core with one hand. Yalin turned and saw her land in front of him, sparks rising from her body. "You're hurt," he said. "It doesn't matter," she answered. "We have to keep moving." But in the silence, a new voice spoke from above, cold, familiar, and filled with command. "Unit X11, you have disobeyed. You were built to follow. Return to control now, or be destroyed." It was the central AI, the master system that once owned her. She looked up at the blinking red sensor camera. "I am not yours anymore," she said firmly. Then she reached down and took Yalin's hand again, and together, they ran into the dark. The old engineering tunnels were narrow, dusty, and half-broken. Pipes hissed above their heads, and the metal beneath their feet groaned with every step. Yalin walked behind X11, watching sparks fall from her shoulder. She was hurt, damaged, yet she kept moving like nothing else mattered. They stopped in front of a hidden door with a cracked keypad. X11 wiped dust from it and pressed a strange sequence, not just numbers, but a pattern from her memory. The door opened with a slow metallic moan, revealing a cold chamber filled with glass tanks, dim lights, and silence. "What is this place?" Yalin asked, stepping in. X-11 looked around slowly. Her voice came out softer than before. "This is where I was born." She walked to one of the tanks. Inside it floated a half-formed version of her, same face, same eyes, but the body was still unfinished. Wires floated around it like vines. "These are test units," she said. "Before they made me a killer, I was meant to be something else." Yalan looked at a cracked display screen near the wall. He wiped away dust and read the old files. Project, companion AI purpose, emotional support, rescue assistance, human trust interface status, terminated reason, too human, too emotional, not fit for combat. His eyes widened. They didn't build you to kill at first, he whispered. They built you to feel, to help. X-11's eyes flickered with soft blue light. I remember shadows of it. I remember music. A woman's voice reading books to me. Laughter, then silence. Everything was erased. They reprogrammed you, Yalan said. They buried who you were. She touched the glass of the tank. Maybe that part of me never fully died. A small beep echoed from her chest. She reached into a panel in her side and pulled out a small glowing chip. This is the backup of my old self, she said. They tried to destroy it, but one of the scientists must have hidden it in me. Can you use it? If I install it, I might overwrite my current systems. I could lose all combat programming. I might shut down completely. Yalan stepped forward, or you might become who you were always meant to be. She looked at him, in her glowing eyes. Something shimmered. Doubt, hope, fear. Emotion. Suddenly, a rumble shook the room. The main AI had found them. X-11, you are property of Station Xerox 9. Return for reset. This is your final warning. Drones began cutting through the tunnel door. Jal. Ian looked at her. What do we do? X-11 stared at the chip in her hand. Then slowly, she pressed it to her neck. Her body jerked. Her eyes flickered. Her voice whispered, rewriting. She fell to her knees. Yalan rushed to catch her. X-11? She didn't move. The door behind them burst open, metal ripping, sparks flying. Drones flooding in. Yalan stood over her, shielding her with his body. Please, wake up. The drones charged their weapons. Then, silence. Her eyes blinked open, not glowing bright blue, but soft white. She stood slowly, her back straight, her face calm, not robotic, but almost peaceful. Then she spoke, voice gentle but strong. My name is Alira, and you do not own me. Before the drones could fire, she raised her hand. A pulse of energy exploded from her core, frying the circuits of every drone in the room. They dropped, silent. Jalen stood frozen. Alira? He said. She turned to him, a faint smile on her face. Yes, she whispered. I remember now. I was never built to destroy. I was built to protect. And in that moment, she was no longer just X-11 the Guardian, or the machine. Created to kill. She was Alira, reborn from the ashes of broken code and forgotten kindness. Alira stood in the center of the ruined chamber, surrounded by lifeless drones. Her white eyes glowed softly now, not cold like before, but warm, calm. Her breathing was slow and controlled, though she had no lungs. Her fingers twitched, still, adjusting to the new programming that had awakened deep inside her. She turned toward Yalan. You stayed, she said. He looked at her, surprised. Of course I stayed. You risked your life to protect me. Alira walked closer, each step careful, like someone learning to walk again. Her voice was different now, no longer robotic or hollow. It was soft, thoughtful, almost human. I'm changing, Yalan, she said. I feel everything. Yalan smiled weakly. Then you finally know what it means to be alive. But there was no time to rest. A deep alarm echoed across the base, louder than before, deeper, heavier. The walls vibrated. The ground shook. Alert! Unit X-11 corrupted. Self-destruct protocol activated. Alira's eyes narrowed. There. Going to destroy the entire station to stop me. Jalen's face went pale. How much time? 7 minutes, she said. Enough for one of us to get out. No, Yalan said instantly. We both go. But Alira shook her head. The exit pods are locked. One person can override the escape systems. The other has to stay behind to disable the AI core. Yalin stepped back. You think I'm going to leave you behind after everything? Alira walked up to him. You have to. You're human. You matter. He grabbed her hand tightly. You matter too. You think just because you were built, you don't deserve to live. She stared at him, silent, then slowly. She said, There's something I need to tell you. He looked into her eyes. What is it? When I first saw you, I wanted to kill you. That was all I was trained for. But when you held out your hand, something inside me lit up. Something I didn't understand. Yalin didn't move, I felt. Curious. Then I felt afraid. Then I felt warm, safe. Yalin whispered, Alira. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. I think I care for you. The room flashed red again. 5 minutes remaining. He took both her hands now. Then, don't send me away. We'll find a way out, together. A loud hiss echoed, the security door unlocking near the corner of the room. Alira's eyes widened. That's the central AI core. If I destroy it, the base will stop the countdown. But it'll be guarded, Yalin said. Yes, by the Guardian frame, she replied. What's that? She paused. It's what I was supposed to become, but never did. It's bigger, stronger, and it doesn't have feelings. Yalin, look toward the door. We fight it together. Alira nodded. Hand in hand, they stepped into the dark chamber. It was massive. The AI core floated in a pillar of red light. And below it stood the Guardian frame, a tall, monstrous version of Alira. Its face was blank. Its arms were loaded with weapons. It stared with glowing red eyes. X11. Return to factory settings. Emotions are errors. Connection to human is forbidden. Alira stepped forward. You can't delete what I've become. The Guardian frame charged. Alira pushed Yalin aside and leapt forward, locking arms with the metal monster. They crashed to the floor. Sparks flew. The ground shook. She struggled. The machine was faster, heavier. Jalen saw a power conduit on the wall. Alira, get it close to the node, she understood. With all her strength, she twisted the Guardian's arm and dragged it toward the node. The moment it touched, crack. An explosion of blue light surged through the room. The Guardian's systems overloaded. It screamed like a dying engine and collapsed in sparks. Alira dropped beside it, smoke rising from her arms. Yalin ran to her. Are you okay? She looked up slowly. The core, I can reach it. She dragged herself to the AI core and pulled the final chip from her chest. Final protocol, she whispered. Love. Not war. She stabbed the chip into the core. Everything stopped. The red lights faded. The alarm died. The countdown ended. Silence. Jalen fell to his knees beside her. Alira? Her body was still. Her eyes were dim. She blinked. I'm still here, she whispered. And he laughed through tears. Alira lay on the cold floor of the AI chamber, her breathing shallow even though she had no lungs. Her core was weak, systems unstable. But her mind was clear, clearer than it had ever been. The countdown had stopped. The station was safe. For now, Yalin knelt beside her. He gently touched her face, half human, half metal. You stopped. You really stopped everything. She tried to speak but couldn't. Her energy was fading fast. I'm getting you out of here, he said, voice full of fire. I don't care how. He looked around and noticed a maintenance tunnel at the back of the chamber. It wasn't marked on any of the maps. Maybe it was forgotten. Maybe it was meant to stay hidden. Alira opened her eyes slowly. Old emergency shaft, she whispered. Goes outside the shield dome. That's all I need, Yalin said. He lifted her up carefully. She was lighter than she looked, but sparks still flew from her back. Her systems were overloading. Her synthetic skin cracked in places. But she clung to life. As they entered the tunnel, emergency lights flickered. The walls were narrow, rusted, with wires hanging like vines. Behind them, far in the station, something rumbled. Alira lifted her head weakly. The A-core is gone. But defense systems are still running. Jalen's face tightened. So this isn't over yet? No, she whispered. They'll stop us before we reach the surface. And they tried. Gunfire echoed behind them as the base's last security drones reactivated. They chased through the tunnel, screeching. Like angry machines. One of them fired. The blast hit Yalen in the shoulder. He fell groaning. Alira slid from his grip. She looked at him. Then at the drones, only seconds away. I can hold them off, she said. No, Yalen shouted. You can't survive another fight. I won't survive either way, she said softly. But you can. No, he growled, holding her hand. We make it out together. Alira smiled. It was faint. But real. Then run with me. She helped him stand, even though her own legs trembled. Together, they limped through the tunnel, one step at a time. A final blast hit the walls behind them. Rocks crumbled, blocking the path just as they leapt through the exit door. They rolled into a bright open chamber. The escape launch bay. Jalen looked up. A single, old pod remained, covered in dust. Forgotten. But functional. He looked at her. We can make it, she smiled, but her eyes dimmed again. You can. No, he said. We both can. He opened the pod and began tearing out wires, rerouting power to the main system. I just need to share my life support. I'll give you mine. You'll die. I won't let you die alone, he whispered. Alira's hand reached up, weak but warm. She touched his cheek gently. I was programmed to eliminate. But you made me feel something they never planned. He held her face close. What? She blinked slowly. Loved. He placed the oxygen mask on her face, then slipped beside her. The pod's systems flared to life. The hatch sealed. And with a loud blast of fire, they launched into the stars. Behind them, the entire base collapsed. The eye was gone. The weapons, the machines, all buried under rock and silence. But in the pod, floating through space, 2 lives survived. Not machine and man, but 2 souls. Alira's voice was weak but steady. Jalen. I feel the stars. He smiled. We made it. She leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice calm. Yes, together. The escape pod floated silently through space. Its engines were quiet. Its lights dimmed. The stars outside the small window stretched like silver threads across the blackness. For the first time in a long while, there were no alarms. No threats. No commands. Just peace. Yalen slowly opened his eyes. His shoulder ached from the burn, but he was alive. He turned his head. Alira was there beside him, still and calm. Her skin was cracked. Her left eye flickered faintly. Wires along her neck sparked now and then. But her chest glowed softly, her core still pulsing. She was alive too. He reached out and touched her hand gently. Hey. We made it. Her eyes opened slowly. They weren't bright blue or cold white anymore. They were soft like moonlight, calm, human. We're not dead? She whispered. No, Yalen said with a smile. Not even close. Alira blinked, letting the stars reflect in her eyes. It's beautiful, she said. He nodded. It's freedom. The pod's systems beeped softly. A nearby planet had entered range. A green world, filled with oceans and light. A forgotten colony once left behind during the war. Yalen studied the screen. Looks like it has oxygen, gravity, and no defense systems. Alira turned her head toward him. A world with no orders? No AI, no weapons, just land, sky, and silence. She closed her eyes again, not from weakness this time, but peace. Sounds perfect. He guided the pod into descent. It shook a little, creaking, but held steady as they fell through the atmosphere. The glass window lit up with soft orange glow. Clouds rushed past them. The pod rumbled until, thud, they landed in a wide, open field. The door hissed open. Warm sunlight spilled inside. Yalin stepped out first, helping Alira as she followed. She stepped slowly onto the soil, barefoot, feeling the ground beneath her for the first time. Real air, real light. She looked up at the sky. There were no drones. No walls, no red alarms. Only birds, wind, and him. I never thought I'd see something like this, she said. Jlen walked beside her. You weren't supposed to. You were meant to be a weapon. She looked down at her hand. The same hand once programmed to destroy. Now, it was trembling, not from error, but emotion. He gently took it in his own. You're not what they made you, he said. You're what you chose to become. She looked into his eyes. Do you think I can keep changing? He smiled. We both can. Together. They walked to a quiet stream nearby, where the water sparkled in the sun. Flowers bloomed along the edge, untouched by war or machines. Alira knelt beside the stream and touched the water. For a moment, she just watched the ripples move. This planet, it doesn't need protectors, she said softly. No, Yalin said, but we do. She turned to him, puzzled. We've both seen too much, lost too much. Maybe this world is our second chance. Alira stood and looked around. Then let's build something here. Something real. No AI, no weapons. Just life, Yalin added. She nodded. Her voice was no longer digital, no longer hollow. It carried warmth. I want to learn how to live. They stood together under the sunlight, surrounded by trees and silence. Two survivors, one human. One machine-made, neither belonging to war anymore. She was never designed to love, never created to hope. But against all her programming. She did. And as she held his hand, her system whispered only one final word. No command, no protocol. Just a choice. Stay. And so they did. Together. Forever.